All right, I had to do this video based on and springboarding from my last video that I did regarding Trump's announcement that he was going to withhold federal funding from any school that allowed illegal protests. Whoa, I just realized I am literally beside myself. Now, in my opinion, it's very instructive when you look at conversations, including heated and irrational conversations. It's very instructive when you try to understand your fellow human being from their perspective, no matter how vicious they might be, no matter how caustic they seem to be trying to be in their desire to not understand things. I wanted to show you a couple of comments here. One of them starts off with Michael Ferrari, and Michael says, "Hey, morons." Now, if you want to have a rational, reasonable, calm, peaceful discussion that has an end where there are solutions, or at least possible solutions that can be drawn where we can work together and make America and the world a better place, I think that's a good thing. But starting off with "hey morons," I don't think quite does the job. I'm not Michael's enemy, even though he acts like he's mine. He says, "Hey morons." Notice specifically said that's Trump, specifically said illegal protests. And then Michael says, "Peaceful and legal protests are not the issue." Now, Trump didn't say peaceful protests. He didn't add the word violence to the protests. He just said illegal protests. So the question is, what does the man, Donald Trump, consider as illegal? We need that framework. We need that definition. If you don't have that definition, then all bets are off, and it could literally mean anything. He could mean something that you take for him to mean something, but he meant something completely different. Protests where foreigners and libturds, violent activists, commit illegal acts are the targets, and any institution that allows or permits them to happen will face consequences for it. I wrote back, and again, Trump does not use the word peaceful. He does not use the word violent. He does not use the word, anything that shows any kind of action. He just says illegal protests. And I just say, Michael, morons, you didn't watch the video all the way through, huh? And the reason I said that is because I played two specific clips that give Donald Trump's ideology and what he actually thinks about the issue, what he thinks about the Constitution. We know what he thinks about the Second Amendment. He instituted red flag gun confiscation laws. He sat next to Nancy Pelosi and said, "I don't know, Mike, I like take the guns first, due process second." We know what he thinks about Americans because he shut the country down. He took credit for shutting the country down. He kept saying he had to shut the country down. And that is antithetical to liberty. It's antithetical to the Constitution of the United States. He's for civil asset forfeiture, which is a violation of the Fourth Amendment right to be secure in your person's house, papers, and effects. So Michael admits that he stopped listening when the BS started spewing. Now, when somebody tells me that I've spewed BS, I tend to want to get specifics, because if I did spew BS, then we need to unearth it. We need to shine the spotlight on it. We need to disinfect the table from all the nonsense that I've spewed and start with a clean slate. But usually what people end up doing, like Michael here, is engaging in ad hominem attacks and setting up straw men. I just said, name the exact BS you're talking about. I've heard that those who speak on a matter before he hears it, it's foolishness and shame to him. If you're starting to speak on something, you have no idea what you're talking about, but you continue to speak anyway, why should anybody listen to you? If you have not reviewed the issue and gathered some kind of factual information and pegged yourself to some logical, rational foundation before you start speaking, you can't even convince yourself that you know what you're talking about, let alone somebody else. I just said I gave specific examples of Trump's tyrannical belief system as it relates to his hatred for the First Amendment, i.e. jail people for burning the flag, and people should be considered anti-Semitic if they speak in any kind of criticism of Israel for what they're doing in Palestine. And he says he admits that he didn't watch the video. So I want to show you what Gordon Freeman says, and then Michael Ferrari responds again. And again, this is very instructive because it really lets you know that there's a mentality that seems to be prevalent in society to where, you could say it's no measure of good mental health to be considered well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. when people talk like Michael Ferrari here talk, you can understand why people say that this is not a well-adjusted society. Gordon Freeman says, so government can threaten to, quote, withhold federal funding and threaten with tariffs to force compliance. But if anyone threatened the government in like manner, i.e. not paying taxes, they are a criminal. Make it make sense. To which Michael Ferrari says, so tell me you're for violent racist protests committed by foreigners and libturds, violent agitators, without telling me. Gordon Freeman said nothing of the sort, not even close. Gordon says, what an asinine summation. And I said to Michael Ferrari, I don't see anybody saying that, because nobody did say that. Trump didn't bother to define illegal protests, but we know from past statements what he thinks should happen to those who are critical of Israel. He wants it labeled as a hate crime. Donald Trump instituted a law that made it illegal for Americans to own bump stocks. He actually banned the ownership of bump stocks. And when you ban something, you're criminalizing innocent people who hold a piece of plastic that changes the firing characteristics of, for example, the AR-15. Donald Trump criminalized tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Americans who peacefully own bump stocks. Think about that. That is an enemy of the people. While he claims to be your friend, he's criminalizing innocent people. Make that make sense. So I said he wants to label it as a hate crime. You don't have a problem with this? Ferrari says to Gordon Freeman, you are incapable of understanding the irony of your own statement. And then he says to me, you don't see it because you don't want to see it. Willful blindness is not an excuse. And I agree. Just show me where I have willful blindness. When you can come up with an example, just like you could with Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. If Joe Biden said something about illegal protesters will be punished, you know that everybody on the right who is now Team MAGA would demand that Joe Biden identify and define what he means by illegal protest. And they would be perfectly right in bringing up historical events like video clips of Joe Biden saying, hey, it's anti-Semitic if you start speaking in condemnation of Israel. I'm the best friend Israel has ever had. And then he's hanging around with a war criminal, Bibi Netanyahu. He's best friends with another war criminal before he died, Henry Kissinger. We also know somebody else who's a good friend of Henry Kissinger. That's Hillary Clinton. Why are Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump friends of a warmonger? Nobody asks those questions when you're drinking the Kool-Aid and you've locked yourself in your own echo chamber of team right or team left. He says, Michael Ferrari says, yes, we know what he thinks should happen to illegal protesters, and for good reason. You know exactly what an illegal protester is, so don't pull that BS with me. It is not a matter of being critical of Israel. For Trump, it is. Michael may not want to believe that it's a matter of being critical of Israel, but Trump has made it clear in no uncertain terms what he thinks about people who are critical of basically his bestest home country. This isn't MAGA. This isn't Make America Great Again. Trump just in his first month gave 14 to 16 billion more dollars to Israel. It's a matter of illegal and violent protesters. Trump said nothing about violence. If he said violent protesters, it would have made it clear. Illegal? What the hell does that mean? Trust me when I say he will say the same thing when you libturds turn violent again, like in the Summer of Love in 2020. He's confusing me with a libtard. Anyway, I just say to him, I'm against democratic theology, and I specifically use that word because politics is religion. Government is a god to people. There is a gospel of the government. Hey, it's the left versus right. You only got two choices, poop soup or turd sandwich. It is the message of the gospel of government. And one of the theological divisions or denominations within this church called government is the denomination of Democrat or the denomination of Republican. Come on, join our church. It's fine. And everybody in that church under that circus tent is making fun of the people in the other church under the other circus tent. Unbeknownst to all these people, they're literally under the same circus tent of the two-party uniparty system. sitting in bleachers on the opposite side, applauding the clowns in the three-ring circus. And they think that they have some kind of moral high ground. The Republicans think they have a moral high ground over the Democrats. The Democrats think that they are more moral and virtuous than the Republicans. It's really disgusting, and it makes you think that people have become so, I don't want to say the word re-TARD, but growth has been that. It's been degraded. I say to Michael, I'm against the Democrat theology. To group me in with libturds is disingenuous. It's clear from everything that I put out that I am not on the side of the libtards. I'm not on the side of Team MAGA. I'm not on the side of the neocons. I'm not on the side of the Kyle Kalinske, Brian Tyler Cohen, Midas Touch progressives, the Bernie Sanders progressives, democratic socialists of America. For Trump, it is a matter of protesting against being critical of Israel. For you, it might not be, Michael, but for Trump, it is. He's made it clear. You are either ignorant of this or you are knowingly laying cover for him. The man is good friends with warmonger Netanyahu and is also good friends with former warmonger Henry Kissinger, if indeed he is dead. But then so is Hillary. These are just the facts. People saying things like, oh, shut up. And then I just say, I treat everybody on the internet like they're my next door neighbor. Like, I will see you tomorrow going out to get your mail, and I'm going to wave to you. And I want peace between us. I do not go out to my mailbox cussing out my neighbor, calling it, you freaking moron for supporting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. No. What good is that going to do? How is that going to foster peace? And if I want somebody over to my side, if I think my ideas are right, if I think my ideology is right, if I think that I'm standing on the moral high ground, then why wouldn't I want to roll up my sleeve and lift up my hand and be kind to my neighbor as I'm speaking the truth? Truth fears no scrutiny. You don't have to call people names. I mean, if you want to, it's fine. It's a free country. Well, it's not really fine. It is a free country, and you are free to do that. But what does that gain you, Michael Ferrari? What does it gain you? So I just want to end with this. If you have a disagreement about anything that I post on this video, this channel, whether the Here's the Deal channel where we involve ourselves in government accountability and holding police officers accountable, or this Disturbing Illusion channel where we expose the left versus right paradigm lie. If you think on anything that I am wrong or I'm mistaken or whatever, let's have a reasonable, rational conversation. I think words have meaning. And when Donald Trump says that he's going to sign a $6.2 trillion CARE stimulus package, which is the biggest power and wealth transfer that the world has ever seen with one frickin' signature. And then it ends up in the economic wreck and ruin of most American and the closure of businesses and the fact that he closed down the entire country and then boasted about it, boasted on Fox News. In a way, I'm the father of the VAXX. Come on, really? You really voted for the father of the VAXX. You really voted for the person who initiated a bump stock ban, criminalizing hundreds of thousands of Americans. You really voted for red flag gun confiscation laws. You really voted for a guy who was bailed out back in the 1990s by Rothschilds Inc. and then made one of those representatives of Rothschilds Inc., Wilbur Ross, 25 years later when Trump becomes president, made Wilbur Ross the Commerce Secretary. Are you really for that? Are you really for jailing somebody for 12 months? Because they decided to burn a Chinese-made American flag? Are you really for that? Is that what you're for? Are you for big money in politics? Are you for Donald Trump being bought out to the tune of $140 million by Miriam Adelson, which puts him on the hook for Israel? Are you really for federal indemnity on all police forces? In other words, they have additional federalized qualified immunity on top of the qualified immunity they already have at the state level. Are you really for that? I just don't understand. Are you for an additional $8.4 trillion added to the national debt, which puts our future unborn posterity on the hook of the Zio international banking cartel known as the Federal Reserve? Are you really for that? Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comment section below. Share this video, like this video, get this video out into the algorithm. Comment in the comment section below. It really helps with the engagement. I will see you in the next video.